Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Hey, good evening, Guam. I'm Jess Lujan. Welcome to this edition of The Buzz. Tonight I have a very exciting show, actually. I have the wife and father of KC Savage K to talk about the Bill 215-32, medicinal use of marijuana. Let's watch this piece and then we'll talk to KC's wife and father when we return.
Half a day, I'm Savage K, and this is my daily cancer fighting regimen. I got some medical marijuana right here. It helps build the appetite and fights nausea, as well as headaches and back pains that I get from chemotherapy.
This was a video of Joaquin KC Concepcion, also known as Savage K, to fans around the world, taken around the holidays last year. Concepcion battled stomach cancer for 2 years and passed away in July this year. And while his memory continues to live on through his spirit and music, his battle will not be forgotten as legislation was introduced in his honor by Senator Tina Muñoz-Barnes.
He had to leave Guam to get some medical attention back there, and also was one that was given that opportunity to use and work with medical marijuana, and he really wanted to live.
Senator Barnes says Bill 215, otherwise known as the Joaquin KC Concepcion Compassionate Cannabis Use Act of 2013, will not only allow for Savage K's legacy to live on, but help the many others on island who suffer from cancer.
We think that if there is any way that we could support medicinal use of marijuana to give it to those patients that are suffering, and they're being given that opportunity to be allowed to utilize that, then this is a place where we can start.
Bill 215 allows for the beneficial use of medical cannabis in a regulated system for alleviating symptoms caused by debilitating medical conditions and their medical treatments. The conditions are not just limited to cancer, but also glaucoma, multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, HIV and AIDS, and post-traumatic stress disorder. The bill establishes an advisory board of 7 members, 6 of whom will be in the medical expertise, who would review and recommend to public health for approval of medical conditions that would benefit from medicinal marijuana. Public health, in consultation with the board, would promulgate rules to implement the act. KC's wife, Emily, meanwhile, applauds Senator Barnes for her efforts, saying had something like Bill 215 been implemented while her husband was undergoing treatment in Washington, he could have returned home.
I am very honored, and if KC was here, he'd be honored as well. It's something that he really wanted to pursue when he was with us. He felt really strong about medicinal marijuana and the benefits of it.
KC had obtained a license in Washington where it's legal to use medicinal marijuana, as did Emily as his representative. She says the process was very regulated and controlled, and is something the island could benefit from. Emily, meanwhile, says her husband continues to inspire as she receives messages daily on his impact on their lives.
His memory is definitely going to be alive for forever. I mean, should it pass, should it not pass? The fact that, his name is in there, and he was so strong-willed, and his messages were so powerful. So powerful.
This doesn't only work for cancer patients, by the way, it works for everybody. So don't be afraid to learn about something you don't know. Marijuana is not evil, it is actually really good for you. So please do your research.
To read more on Bill 215, go to GuamLegislature.com. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Ken Quintanilla.
And of course, that was a piece by Ken Quintanilla, our own KUAM news reporter, and as promised, the wife of KC Savage K, Emily Concepcion. Welcome.
Yes, thank you.
And KC's father, Joaquin Concepcion, as well. Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming on tonight. KC, this was just a shock to us as well when one day he told us that he was suspected of being diagnosed as cancer, and he had to leave pretty much on the next plane out.
Yes.
And I'm sure as a family, we were all shocked. But, KC, Savage K, was always communicating with some of our folks here through Facebook and all. There was constant communicating. And we thought, as a matter of fact, JC, I ran into you almost a year ago at a coffee shop. And
yes.
We were talking about whether or not, how KC was doing, because we heard he was doing well, and he was contemplating coming back to Guam for Christmas last year.
That's right.
But his doctor says, hey, slow your roll, man. I know you're feeling good, but hold on, because I don't want you to have a relapse at this point, and you'll be stuck out there without this treatment. So his opinion was, better not go.
Right.
Okay, let's get a treatment here. But tell us a story, basically KC's story back when he was diagnosed. What form of cancer did he have?
KC was diagnosed in November of 2011.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the ER in October, so it was suspected a liver cancer because his liver was covered with tumors since October of 2011. So he then was properly diagnosed in November, and he started going through chemo treatments immediately after. He went through 3 chemos here in Guam, and then we relocated to the States for a better chance for him, and for him to possibly beat it.
And you guys, when you relocated, actually you relocated not immediately to Washington, to the state of Washington. You relocated to Alabama, if I understand.
We did.
Yeah. Okay. And Alabama is basically not one of the states that has legalized medicinal use of marijuana.
No,
right?
it does not. And then when we found out that Washington did, we decided to relocate to Washington.
Well, tell us basically, his daily regimen, because it was pretty intense as we kept up with his treatment and what he was going through and all that. And of course, JC here, he does my boards in the morning on Buzz Radio, so I have an opportunity to talk to him all the time about what KC was going through and his treatment regimen. And of course, in treating for the cancer, there's also ill effects of that treatment itself. And he was moody, he won't eat, and at times lethargic. But then he researched, and that's one thing KC does. He researches very well. He doesn't just jump into something. Even when he was here prior to his sickness, when he talks about a subject, it's well researched before it even comes out of his mouth. So again, in his research, he came to this conclusion that I'm going to use this to help me again with my other treatment, right?
Yes, it's really important that we stress the fact that KC did not immediately do medical marijuana.
Sure.
He went from October to August, almost a year, with just chemo, painkillers, anti-nausea medicine. So he did try it. He did do his research throughout that time with medical marijuana. And it wasn't until October of last year, 2012, or August of 2012, that he was licensed and he started doing medical marijuana. So he knows exactly how it feels to not be on medicinal marijuana, and he knows how it feels to be on it.
Now tell us what you saw, the changes you saw based when he was in conventional, treatment and things like that, and when he sought also after his research, and then also to say, hey, let me also do medicinal marijuana to help, again, combat some of the ill effects that I'm going through in trying to treat this. So what are the changes that you saw in him?
Okay, the amount of time he wasn't on medical marijuana, he was on 3 different kinds of chemo for the first few months, and then two different kinds of chemo. So he had anti-nausea, or he was nauseous, so he was given anti-nausea medicine. Then he had pain, a lot of pain. He had back pain, leg pain. His liver would be inflamed. So they prescribed him painkillers, but with the painkillers comes constipation. And then with constipation, it really affected him a lot. I mean, he did 3 different kinds of painkillers. He did morphine, he did oxycodone, he did your regular over-the-counter ibuprofen, but at the same time, his liver was already affected. He had tumors all over his liver. So we wanted to stress the fact to the doctors that he can't, try to stay away from the medicines that would go straight to his liver. And at that time, he didn't really have much of an option. He didn't have many choices. So he had to take those painkillers regardless. So when he did start doing medical marijuana in August, there was a big change. He stopped taking his anti-nausea medicine.
Okay, let's go back a little bit. When he started taking medicinal marijuana for his pains and all that, now he was consulting with his current doctor, right? With his doctor, and said, "Hey, I'm doing this as well," because He
did. He did tell his doctor that he was on medicinal marijuana. He's actually told 2 different oncologists that he was. They didn't really entertain it as much. but they did know that he was on it. And he was also on the Rick Simpson hemp oil, which is also a form of marijuana.
Sure. So it wasn't really prescribed by a doctor. It was something he researched and says, hey, let me try this because everything you're giving me, I know that's what you're trained to give me and all that, but you know, I'm the one that has to live with this. Let me try something else. Let me try something unconventional at this point. But he did this informing his doctor fully what is going on,
yes,
right?
His doctor was well aware of what he was taking. So he did obtain a license from a doctor that specializes in medical marijuana. So he had to get that license in order for him to go into the collectives and to get the marijuana and hemp oil pills, whatever he needed to get by his day.
Hey, when we come back, we'll talk more to Emily and also now Keen. We'll talk to the father's point of view and this medicinal use. We'll be right back.